Let's make a beautiful cinnamon swirl Elven Bread from the Hero's Feast, the official D&D cookbook. We're going to start off by taking some cinnamon sticks and grinding them up in a mortar and pestle to the delight of dogs nearby. I would recommend not using a mortar and pestle if I were you. Then we're taking a quarter cup of milk and heating that up in a saucepan until it gets to about 115 to 120 degrees. Then we're going to pop that in our stand mixer, add in 2 packets of dry yeast, and give it a little stir. Then we're going to add in the rest of our milk and wet ingredients. I'm just stirring this with a spatula right now, but I would recommend going ahead and putting in the paddle attachment to a KitchenAid and having that running as you're adding in these ingredients. Next, we've got a half cup of honey, 2 eggs beaten, and a quarter of a cup or half a stick of butter. Toss that into a cup to give it a nice little spin, and then put that in the microwave to melt while you finally put together your KitchenAid. Pour in the melted butter, and then it's time to move on to the flour. We've got 1 cup of wheat flour, which I probably didn't need to sift, and then 5 cups of all-purpose flour. Add that to the bowl as the mixer is mixing, and once everything becomes nice and combined, we're going to go ahead and take that paddle attachment out and add in the dough hook. Let that mix with the dough hook for about 8 minutes until you've got a nice little homogeneous ball of dough. Then we're going to plop that into a greased bowl, spin it around, making sure to get grease on both sides, then cover it, set it aside to prove for about an hour. In the meantime, we're going to make our filling. So we've got a cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour, and 2-ish tablespoons of cinnamon. I doubled this from what's in the recipe because I want this to be a dessert bread. Next, we're going to grease up our loaf pans, beat up an egg with a tablespoon of water, then on a floured surface, we're going to plop down our dough, split it into 2 pieces. Make sure that you flour up your rolling pin before rolling out your balls of dough into a 6-inch by 20-inch rectangle. You can see here that I'm being very precise. Next, we're going to take that beaten up egg and water and do an egg wash on the inside of the dough. Then generously sprinkle on our filling before rolling up the entire concoction. Be careful in this step to keep as little air as possible trapped within, and then plop the dough seam side down into your loaf pan, cover it, and set it aside for another hour to an hour and a half. Once the dough has risen about an inch above the pan, we're going to pop those bad boys in the oven at 400 for 10 minutes, then lower the temperature to 350 for another 30 to 45 minutes, or until the bread is golden brown. Now it's time for that beautiful cross section with a perfect swirl. And there you have it, just like that.